Hey guys, it's Chuck Morse. I'm still stuck on the roof here at 9151 West Bell Road, here supporting the Nissan tent event. And today we got Jay from the Peoria Police Department with us. Yeah, welcome back.
Thanks.
Now, we and you were just talking. I understand you were up here last year?
Right. Came up last year, talked to John.
Yeah, talk to John, right? And what about the first year? Were you up here the first year?
I wasn't, no. Last year was my first year.
Last year was the first year.
My predecessor was up here.
Your predecessor was. Okay, so you guys have been up here all 3 years, right? And does it seem cooler or hotter up here this year?
Well, I'm feeling the cool air coming out of the master cool air, so I'm doing all right.
Now, hey, don't tell them all my secrets, right? I mean, they think I'm supposed to be roughing them up here. Next thing you know, you'll be telling them about my TV, right? And all the other good stuff, right? So let's talk about car break-ins.
Sure.
All right. Do you see a lot of them here in Peoria? Are they on the down? Are they on the up? What are you seeing?
You know, they tend to stay around the same rate. When I compare this month to last month, we actually saw a 2% increase, but Peoria as a whole has a very low crime rate. So when I say a 2% increase, I'm talking one more car burglary over the year over the month before. We tend to look more at trends and what we can do to prevent these. Property crimes, by and large, are the easiest to prevent. You can almost always point to something that had it been done differently by the owner, probably could have avoided or at least sent the bad guy down the road to the next one. You know, in the case of vehicle burglaries, they don't break into cars that don't have things in them that they want to take.
Sure.
You know, we're all guilty of it. We all leave something of value out of convenience, but that's what they go after. A car with no valuables in it isn't easy to get into. The other thing we see commonly is people leave their cars unlocked. Looking at the stats, I was actually encouraged. The most recent group of stats was fewer than a quarter of burglaries are actually unsecured or unlocked vehicles. That's usually a lot higher. People tend to get a false sense of security and think they live in one of those neighborhoods where, you know, it's not going to happen, but it happens everywhere, and you got to look out for this one.
Okay, Jay's taking a cheap shot on me right now, all right? We've only known each other for a little while, and he's picking on me because, guess what? I left my car unlocked, and sure enough, you know, I thought I lived in a pretty good neighborhood, and would leave my car unlocked every single night. And guess what? One night they reach in there and grab my briefcase, and gosh, you don't really figure out what a pain it really is until you actually lose it, and all the steps that you have to go through in protecting your identity and everything else.
Yeah, and I've been there too. You know, one night a couple years ago, I forgot to close my garage door. Sure enough, the next morning, my car had been gone through and some stuff was taken. Unfortunately, nothing of too much value, but it just pointed out to me that the one night I leave my garage door open is the one night that somebody comes by. What it really pointed out to me is that every night in every neighborhood, people are scanning, looking for garage doors that are open, looking for cars that are unlocked. It's happening every night. So, a number of lessons learned. Make sure you're locking your garage door, closing your garage door. I don't care what kind of neighborhood you live in. There's people out there that seem to be engaged in legitimate business. You know, they knock on doors, they'll ask for Bob. If Bob's not there, sorry, wrong address. They're looking for ways to get in, trying to legitimize their presence there. But if it seems odd, it doesn't look right to you, the Peoria Police Department definitely wants to hear about it. We'd rather check out a suspicious person or activity than have to take a report after the fact. Because frankly, the solvability rate on those is not as good as if we can intervene up front.
Now, we talked about locking your door, of course. Didn't lock my door. You brought up the fact of shutting your garage door, right? What are some other common mistakes that you see people make that leads to, say, a car break-in?
The biggie is leaving things in plain view. Whether it's a laptop or a cell phone. You know, a lot of times you might think, oh, what's somebody going to do with my cell phone? Well, they may not do anything, but it's me that they want to check it out. People with smartphones. Kids with smartphones that are attractive, shiny things. Another thing that we see commonly is people that park their $40,000 car in the driveway because they have $150 worth of garage sale items in their garage. Yeah. Keep your garage clear, put the car in the garage, that's what it's for. We also encourage people to use layers of protection. You know, clubs, the steering wheel locks, car alarms. We all know that those aren't 100%, but every layer that you add adds a few seconds to the time that a car burglar or a car thief is going to take to defeat it. And if he sees the club, he knows he can cut through it, but he also knows the car next to him doesn't have a club, he's going to move to the car next to him. Sure. Nothing's 100%. The more layers you put on your car or on your home, the the less likely you are to be targeted and the person down the road.
Now the guys, and I should say the gals too, that are committing these crimes, how hard is it to catch these criminals?
It can be tough. A lot of times it's kids, that are just out looking for valuables. We'd much rather operate on the front end. We're much more successful when we respond to suspicious people. We get in the area, find out who they are, talk to them, get their information. A lot of times we're able to tie them to multiple crimes. The front end is a lot easier than that.
Now, for me personally, if I'm walking down the street, I see somebody breaking in a car, maybe it's late at night, I notice that somebody's breaking into a car, my next door neighbors. What should I do, or maybe what shouldn't I do?
Well, definitely don't intervene. Most of the time with property crimes, the people that are committing these crimes are doing it for drug money, which means they're drug addicts. They can be unstable, they can be violent. They're not looking for a confrontation, but if one occurs, they're going to be unpredictable. Definitely don't intervene, no matter how confident that you feel in the encounter. Get a good witness description, a good description of the suspect. Be a good witness. Call 911 from the safe area as soon as you can. Look around, see if you see a getaway car or you see anybody else that might be working. Provide a good clothing description, license plate. Ideally, if you're a good witness, that makes it easier for us to follow them.
Now, another personal question. So, when they got in my car, my fault, I left my door unlocked. Didn't have my car in the garage, right? So I made two of the mistakes. I never got my stuff back. If I wanted to increase the chances of saying, if something did happen, to get my stuff back, say my laptop, my iPad, my briefcase, my personal belongings in there, right? What are some of the things that you can do to increase the chances of getting your things back?
Excellent question. And there's a few things you can do. Anything that's serialized, record those serial numbers. And I know we've heard that for years, but we're bad at doing it. We recover tons and tons of items that we can never return to the rightful owners because they don't have serial numbers. A lot of times these items get pawned. They don't necessarily get fenced, they get pawned, which is legitimate activity, but without a serial number that lists the item as stolen, it's tough to identify when something was stolen and intervene. If you have serial numbers, something's stolen, we can enter that serial number in the system. It cannot be pawned. It will be recovered if it tries to get through the pawn system.
Gotcha. Well, those are definitely some great tips.
And let me just add, there's a number of things that you might not think are serialized. A lot of people don't realize golf clubs have serial numbers.
I didn't know that.
We get a lot of golf clubs taken out of open garages. Record the serial numbers of your golf clubs. We've got detectives who look on Craigslist. We intervene with a lot of criminals who just put items for sale on Craigslist. Our detectives recognize them from the cases they're working. If they can match up serial numbers, case closed, and that guy's going to jail.
And I know that's for a fact. Your detectives look on Craigslist because we actually had an incident here in the dealership where somebody had taken a top for a Jeep that we had parked out back. And your detectives got on Craigslist, they found the top,
Right.
and they were able to get our top back for us.
Exactly.
So,
Criminals aren't here on an academic scholarship.
yeah. I've never heard it put that before, but that's a good one, right? That absolutely is. Is there a website or anywhere people can go to find out more information, right? Other than what you're telling us right now, do you guys have anything on your website?
Yes, we have some good tips on our website, which is www.peoriaaz.gov, the police department page. Also, the Arizona Automobile Theft Authority has some great tips on vehicle theft and burglary prevention.
Or you could go to stuckontheroof.com. We'll have all our cause partners on there. We'll also have a direct link to the sites that you just mentioned, right? Or you can come down here, find out in person, or take advantage of the best deals in the valley on a new Nissan. So, Jay, thanks very much for having me here.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time here again. Thank you.
I need to get better photo.